Welcome to the den, guys, and today I'm going to be doing my top 5 players for each position in the NFL, and I'm just going to be ranking them 1 through 5 with maybe an honorable mention or two. I'd like to see your guys' difference. I do want to say this video took me an entire day of study to do. I put in stats, I looked at other players, I looked at each team, so it'd be much appreciated if you guys hit the like button, put some comments in, and yeah. So let's get this started. Let's start with the quarterback position. So first off, I'm not adding in Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Aaron Rodgers has not been attending the offseason whatsoever. He hasn't come to team meetings. He hasn't gone to OTAs or practices. He's been, by the sound of it, not wanting to play with Green Bay. He just said, I don't know, when asked if he's going to play. So until I know he starts, I'm not going to put Rodgers in. Watson, it does not look like he's going to be playing, so he's not going to be in my top 5. So let's get this started. The number 1 quarterback in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has been the best quarterback for the past 3 years, and he's gotten even better O-line. Projection based, he could have an even better year with a good O-line. And who even knows, maybe even another good year, maybe development year from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. At number 2, I have Josh Allen. Josh Allen had himself an explosion of a year, his junior year. And now he's got another year of development with Gabriel Davis, get that chemistry going. Who knows, maybe even Dawson Knox can have himself a good year. Along with the fact that Zach Moss, I think, showed a lot of potential for the Bills at running back. And, yeah, you also got a good head coach in Sean McDermott and improved defense. At number 3, I have Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has continued to play well despite bad line play. Granted, he has somewhat of consistency issues and plays good for first 6 weeks of the season as an MVP, but then just kind of drops off to just being good. He's still a fantastic player that plays with no line. At number 4, I have Tom Brady. Tom Brady had nearly 5,000 passing yards and over 8 yards per throw and 40 touchdowns as a 43-year-old. It's crazy. He went to the Super Bowl, and he's obviously at number 4. Number 5 is Ryan Tannehill, who had a total of 40 touchdowns and nearly hit 4,000 yards on not even 100 passing attempts. He had 7.9 yards per throw and has had a quarterback rating of over 100 the last 2 years. And even had 9 yards per throw in 2019. Now with the addition of Julio Jones, you can bet for an even bigger explosion for Ryan Tannehill statistically next season. An honorable mention is Matthew Stafford, but I have my concerns about that O-line, and they haven't given him a contested catch guy. At the running back position is King Henry. Don't really think I need to explain that one. He's been dominating the league the last 2 years. At number 2, I have Christian McCaffrey. People forget how good this guy was. 1,000 is really hard to achieve. And he's now going to have, he's not even another good receiver in Carolina and Robbie Anderson. And you also have DJ Moore. And with the addition of Terrace Marshall as well, you've got a contested catch guy there. And you even have McCaffrey. The weapons for Sam Darnold is insane. Number 3 is Nick Chubb. He had 5 yards per carry, and he would probably have more yards if he wasn't splitting carries with Kareem Hunt, and he even was out for a couple games. Number 4 is Saquon Barkley. People forget how good he is. The man's been good behind bad giant lines for 3 years. He didn't get much playing last year, but I think he looks slow this next season. Number 5 is Aaron Jones. Guy gets 1,000 yards. He gets scores. He's honestly Aaron Rodgers' second best receiver, and he's a running back. He's insane. All mentions are Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara. Number 5, D-Hop. Don't really explain that one. Number 2, Diggs. Led the league in receiving yards. The guy was a big reason Josh Allen's explosion of a year. 3, Davante Adams. The guy is Aaron Rodgers' only elite or even great receiver. Number 4, Julio Jones. He's gotten better as he's older. He had 75% catch percentage last year. At his age, that's crazy. Number 5, Tyreek Hill. He's statistically on pace to be the best deep threat ever. Honorable mentions are DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, and Michael Thomas. Tight end, Travis Kelce is number 1. He's a good receiving threat and still a good blocker. Number 2, George Kittle. Once again, amazing receiving threat and an elite blocker. Best blocking tight end in football. Number 3, TJ Hockenson, top 3 blocker and has improved every year. And was one of Matthew Stafford's only reliable weapons. Last year, after Kenny Galladay got hurt. Number 4, Darren Waller. More of just a receiving guy compared to Hockenson, but it's definitely explosive. Number 5, Dallas Goedert. I expect big years out of him, despite the fact that he's been splitting catches with Zach Ertz. He's continued to put up good stats and has been a great blocker. Honorable mention, Mark Andrews. He's put up good stats with a questionable quarterback play for Lamar Jackson. He just hasn't exactly, we haven't seen his full potential, so I only put him in honorable mention. Tackle, David Bakhtiari, at number 1. He's been one of the best tackles in football for a long time, and continues to produce at a high level. Trent Williams, the same story. Number 3, Ryan Ramczyk. The guy's been honestly one of the best tackles in football the last few years, and he's super young and can only get better. Number 4 is Ronnie Stanley. Ronnie Stanley is a tackle for the Baltimore Ravens, and he continues to play well. And the Ravens, from what I heard, have chose him over Orlando Brown for a reason. Number 5 is Garrett Bowles. I am interested in Worcester's a big battle I had on here. The only reasoning I give Garrett Bowles is he didn't allow a sack last year compared to Worcester did allow, and Bowles allowed less pressure last year, despite playing on a worse team. I do think Garrett Bowles might have a struggle with repeating his success he's had, but at the same time, he also has a legendary O-line coach in Mike Munchak, and I do think the Denver team is going to be slightly better, even with Drew Lock being a very, very questionable quarterback. And once again, I value left tackle more than right tackle, but Tristan Wirfs is an honorable mention. And Ramshouse, there you go, he's an honorable mention. Guard, Quenton Nelson. Everyone acknowledges that Quenton Nelson may just be the best O-lineman in football. Number 2, Zach Martin. The guy used to be, honestly, the competitor for the number 1 spot. Nelson's dominance is that insane. Number 3, Joe Benito. One of the better guards for the Cleveland Browns and continues to play well and has good size and sad production. Ali Marpet. Arguably the best lineman in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line, which is impressive considering the fact there's some worse on there. The guy was good at both pass protection and run blocking. And I compared him to Joe Thuney, and he, in my opinion, had better stats. Number 5, Joe Thuney. Thuney plays well and was picked up by the Chiefs for a reason. He was on a New England Patriot team that had an immobile quarterback and then a very questionable quarterback, and still played well. Honorable mention, Wyatt Teller exploded last year, but I can't give him any spots considering the fact last year's his only explosion year. Ryan Sheriff's there, but I just don't think he's as dominant as the other guys. But he's an honorable mention. Center, Rodney Hudson. He's gotten the best pass blocking grades and doesn't allow sacks. Yes, he's older, but I think he'll be just fine. Centers can last a while, and until I see him regress, I'm not going to take him away. Number 2 is Jason Kelce. The guy continues to produce at football, and him and Rob Johnson have been battling it for that number 1 center for years. Number 3, Frank Ragnow. I think he's actually going to be a competitor as well for that number 1 spot next season. He exploded last year, even playing with a fractured throat. I'm super excited to see what he can do. Number 4 is Brandon Liner. He kind of impressed me when I looked into him. Someone I think you guys should really look into. Number 5 is David Andrews. Good center play for him. Edge rushers. Myles Garrett. The guy gets sacks, he gets pressures. And the Browns D-line is not that impressive. I was looking into it, so I had to give him the number 1 spot. Number 2, Chandler Jones. The guy has been leading the league, has been getting a lot of sacks ever since he joined Arizona. And he continues to be insane. In my opinion, he's the most underrated edge rusher. 3, TJ Watt. The guy exploded last year for Pittsburgh Steelers. Got pressures and sacks, and I very much consider putting him in at 2 and 1. And he's just insane. Number 4 is Mack. Mack has kind of fallen off a bit, but he's still a fantastic and elite player that team would kill to get. He takes double teams, and he's good in the run game. Number 5 is Daniel Hunter. Same story as the rest of the guys. Sacks, pressure, run stuffing. It's insane. Shaq Barrett's an honorable mention, but he did not get the double digits last year. Needing to tackle Aaron Donald. Don't need to explain that. 2, Chris Jones. No need to explain. Buckner. His run stuffing kind of made him the win over Leonard Williams, but I could see if you could put Leonard over Buckner. Number 5 is Stephon Tuitt. Stephon Tuitt just gets sacks, man, and he's gotten some good pressure. Leonard Williams had slightly better ones, in my opinion, and he'll continue to play well. Honorable mention is Jonathan Allen, but I don't think either there. Inside linebacker, number 1 is Roquan Smith. Number 2 is Bobby Wagner. 3 is Fred Warner. 4 is Levante David. Number 5 is Darius Leonard. Roquan Smith's stats are insane. I suggest you go look at them on Pro Football Reference. His yards per throw that are allowed, no touchdowns allowed, majority of times. He has a great completion percentage. He's a good run stuffer. He's so balanced. He honestly is super insane. Bobby Wagner himself is insane here as well. Despite the fact this guy's playing old, he continues to play at a Hall of Fame level. And the reason I didn't put Fred Warner at number 2 is the fact he only had one elite season. I gotta see more from Fred Warner if he's gonna do better. David's older. I expect regression, but I still think he will play extremely well. And he's also just not as good in coverage compared to Fred Warner. 5 is Darius Leonard, who continues to be an amazing run stuffer, even a solid pass rusher as well. Surprised me, I thought he was good in coverage, but I guess not. But I think that's kind of clear-cut inside linebackers in this kind of team. Cornerback, Jalen Ramsey. The guy has just faced the hardest receivers you could possibly get last year and still had a 50% completion percentage and only allowed 2 touchdowns and continues to get tackles. Number 2 is Xavier Howard. The interceptions and low completion percentage and touchdowns allowed is pretty impressive by the guy. And I'm not surprised that this guy is willing to hold out and get more money because this guy is playing at an elite high level and can get more money. Number 3 is Jair Alexander. The guy is just insane. Once again, his stats are great. He gets interceptions. He's a consistent lockdown corner. It's really hard to get past him. Number 4, Tre'Davious White. He gets tackles. He gets picks. He was honestly the only guy that competed with Stephon Gilmore in 2019 for best corner in the league. Number 5 is Denzel Ward. Denzel Ward is a great run stuffer with some pretty good completion and touchdowns allowed numbers. And honorable mention is Marlon Humphrey, who had very similar numbers to Ward, but Ward was a better run stuffer, in my opinion. Strong safety. Derwin James, I know we did the 1 year, but it was an insane year. He gets the tackles and the picks and everything. I'm very impressed by him. Number 2 is Harrison Smith. I consider putting him at 1, but with his age, I'm concerned on what he's going to do. And another point for James I forgot to mention, he's also working with Brandon Staley, who's the architect of that amazing Rams defense, and I think he'll explode next year. Number 3 is Jabril Peppers. His stats actually kind of surprised me. He was a big staple in the reason the Giants had a good defense last year, and honestly, his advanced stats are also pretty good. And he's a good run stuffer as well to add on to it. Number 4 is Jamal Adams. Yes, he is blitz boy, but he's actually a lot better in coverage than people think. You don't just have to look at his interception numbers. He's definitely a bit overrated, but he's still a great player at that. Number 5 is Chuck Clark. Surprisingly good advanced stats, and also pretty good tackler and interception player. I kind of like the guy. Free safety. This is actually the hardest list I've ever had, and I don't know. I'm really curious on what you guys would rate at the free safety spot. But I have number 1, Jesse Bates, 2, Tyrann Mathieu, 3, Minkah Fitzpatrick, 4, Kevin Byard, and 5, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The guy was just insane for Cincinnati Bengals. He was ranked the number 1 safety by Pro Football Focus. His advanced stats are fantastic despite playing on a terrible Cincinnati Bengals team. He's good at getting tackles, and he's gotten 3 interceptions every year of his career. He has good completion percentage numbers, touchdowns allowed numbers, yard numbers. He's just insane, and it's the reason I gave him the edge over Tyrann Mathieu, which was really hard to do. But overall, I'm more impressed by Bates' run stuffing to put him over Mathieu. There's Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's also a super insane player. I could see all these 3 players being number 1. But in the end, I decided to put Fitzpatrick at the 3rd spot, considering the fact he plays with a better defense compared to these 2. In his time in Miami, he wasn't nowhere near as elite as he was in the Steelers. So I think it's just kind of a good example of the fact that good teams help out these players, and the fact that Bates is playing so well with a bad team is one of the main reasons I'm impressed with him. That and Jesse Bates was like my biggest draft crush for the defensive side of football. Number 4 is Kevin Byard. The guy, his advanced stats are pretty good, and he ended one really elite season with the Tennessee Titans. I think he'll also have a rebound year as well, and I think the Titans have an improved defense, which will help him. 5 is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. The guy's actually really underrated as a safety. He has some really good advanced stat numbers, and he continues to play really, really well. And yeah, you guys may be saying, what about kicker and punt returner and punter and kick returner? And I don't know. Those are just impossible to predict for special teams. Jack Fox was the best punter in football last year, and no one could have seen that coming. I do think Jack Fox will continue to be the best punter in football because I'm a Lions fan, but I do not know enough about the punters. And for kicker, I think it's probably just going to be Justin Tucker like it always is for number 1. But other than that, that's kind of my predictions. What would you guys change, and what videos would you guys like to see? And it's going to be live at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. See you guys later. One Pride.